And I'm going to sort of rephrase Mark Twain because he said, never let your schooling interfere with your education. And I want to understand from each one of you, doubts, fears, the fear of failure, etc. Did that ever constrain your dream of becoming an entrepreneur? Was that ever a question in your mind? Akshita, I'll start by asking you. And how did you cope with that? How did you deal with that?
Yes. So I think that one of the best decisions, even though my parents put us in, my parents cared more about sports day than report day, just to give you an understanding, but one of the best extracurriculars they put me in was theater. So then, like I stood outside before entering and I saw the roster and I saw who was interviewing me and I was like, oh my God, that's the imposter syndrome creeping in. Just fight that today. Walk into the room. You belong here. And
you do belong here. Each one of you belongs here. And this is something a lot of women and I personally have felt the imposter syndrome as well. There's this self-doubt that's sticking in your mind, and I want to understand from each one of you your mechanism of dealing with that.
Yeah. So like I was saying, I think that I had once you've done theater for a number of years, you know how to wear a mask. So then I'm like, okay, now I'm entering, and I think that's something I remind myself of when I get nervous is like, you're here representing Mayurbhanj. There are people, you have this opportunity because you also have privilege, because someone is able to find you online, because you speak the right language, because you dress a certain way, because your education. So remember that when you're here, it's an opportunity to kick the door open and wider for a number of people who aren't able to have their stories and voices heard. So every time I come for an event like this or I go somewhere, I remember why I'm doing it, and that purpose, I think, gives me the strength to overcome any of the mind chatter.
Lachik, what were the fears? Do you still have them? How do you deal with it? And what is it that you would like to say to other young women who are looking at the possibility of starting up, but somehow shrink themselves into little boxes because they're unsure and uncertain?
I think at the end of the day, if you're, certain of what you want and your intentions are right and you're doing things that, you can go to bed and sleep in peace and you're doing the right thing, I think there's nothing that can stop you. Yes, I have been through multiple moments of doubt. When I moved back and I started construction, I was 26. So everybody around me doubted me, so that didn't help either. But I knew what I was doing. And even if you're the only person who believes in yourself, at the end of the day, you're answerable to yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're honest and you know you're doing the right thing, people come around. And you just have to continue doing it, and you have to consistently do it with the right intentions and the right motive. I think that's what's
that's so beautifully said, because very often we seek external validation, and in fact that is what we live for. But at the end of the day, as you said, we're accountable to ourselves, to our own conscience. We're answerable to our calling, and each one of you is a representation of that. Lisa, I want to understand from you, what is the vision that you now have as far as Nirgun is concerned? Where would you like to take this? And what impact do you believe you're making in the lives of the women that you're dealing with today?
Yeah. Nirguna, the way I have visualized it, the path I have followed is the holistic development of a community. So in a holistic development, what I always say to my customers, don't look at a sari as a product. It is a service to a community. You're talking the tradition, the culture, the local motives, the local rituals of that place. When I say Sambalpuri sari, we're talking about Sambalpuri people, right? Similarly, when I went into the interior recesses of Odisha, and suddenly one day I realized, oh, there is something called Dhalapathar close to Bhubaneswar, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that is a sari, I'm wearing that sari. We revived the sari. After 100 years, it was lost in time.
Yeah.
So those kind of things, the revival of weaves, documentation. For last 8 years, we were doing video documentation of local culture, local tradition, local weaves,
yeah,
their motives. So somebody have to preserve our tradition because that is where India lies.
Yes, and that is how brands are built. Brands are not built on the strength of just the product alone. Brands are built on the strength of the stories that they represent. And what a wonderful sari you're wearing here, Lisa, today. So thank you very much for sharing the story of the sari that you're wearing. But Tala, let me ask you, what is it that you hope to do with the foundation? What is the kind of impact that you would like to make?
I think what we realized, we thought we were trying to get jobs, but we realized that we are effectively making a systemic change. Because it's not just, in Kashmir, J&K, usually there's not much of a private sector, so there's only government sector. So just the shift from government sector to private jobs, that itself, people have to get used to it. Secondly, women moving out, because we can't take all the jobs there right now. So people moving out, mobility, are they willing to move out, insecurities, etc. That's another. So there are a lot of, I think what I realize, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Yes.
So you have to kind of stick with it. It's going to be very slow because it has to be systemic change rather than just the few jobs you get. So I think you have to be very aware of that and not get discouraged. Keep encouraging yourself and pivot as and when required to make
Oh, absolutely. You have to have the agility and the dynamism. I want to end by asking each one of you, and I'll start with you, Akshita, what we just heard there from Tala as well, that, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You've got to keep at it. So I'm going to get each one of you to pass the baton on to the other. And the one thing that you believe that we as a society, as civil society, can do to ensure that we see more women participate in the workforce, in the formal economy, and the one thing that you believe the government needs to do.
I think that, there's this idea that the focus is on women's education, and if we focus on women's education, that's going to, make sure that they're going to join the, labor force. But actually, we know that's not true. There were more women working in jobs, public and private sector in the 80s than there are today. Women are getting educated and choosing not to work. So I think that we need to take a hard look at who is framing the rules of society and work, and what is, if that's working for women. I mean, I've been working for 7 years, and this is the first job I have. I'm still working in the corporate sector and doing both. But this is the first job I have that there are sanitary napkins in the bathrooms at Dasra, the nonprofit I work in Mumbai. And that's really important, right? I mean, something so small is like, like creating safe spaces for women at work, making sure that work from home, hybrid work, whether that works or not. And also, I think what's important is when we talk about women at work, we focus on urban women and jobs which are, say, white-collar jobs, and we completely disregard rural, rural women from, Dalit communities, indigenous communities. When we're talking about women, we have to also talk about transgender women and their rights.
Inclusion in all its,
I think you said it there.
Absolutely. Lachik, very quickly, in 10 seconds, the one thing that you would like us to take away from this conversation.
I think as an entrepreneur and as like a woman entrepreneur, the most important thing and the biggest challenge is usually finance. And I think the government really needs to work towards providing more financial support to women entrepreneurs. We hear about a lot of schemes, but on ground, we know the reality. So I think that is the biggest support.
Access to capital, access to finance. Well made. That point is well taken. Lisa, very quickly, the one thing.
Yeah. Apart from government support, but I want to tell every one of us, let's buy a handloom sari every year.
Okay, everyone, make a commitment to buy a handloom sari, and that will go a long way. Tala, I'll end with you.
I think what we need to do is in our workspaces, I think we need to really actually indoctrinate the fact that women have issues, all of the issues. We put a lot of policies together, but implementation and execution, I think if we focused more on that than adding just policies, I think that would be really the key.
Policies need to be made for people. People should not have to customize themselves to policies. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our women achievers here, kickstarting She Shakti, Swayam Shakti, representing the many faces of India. We wish you the very best of luck, and thank you so much for joining us here this afternoon. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Anand, back to you.
Thank you, ladies. Please stay there, and I'm going to request Shireen to present a small token of our appreciation and for their effort that they've taken to come all the way on this platform of Rising India She Shakti. To Akshita, yes, Akshita has also helped us curate something very special later this afternoon. in the presence of the Honorable President, reflection of Mayurbhanj, Chhau, Lachit Rissin, Lisa Mohanty ji. I love your sari, ma'am. It's beautiful. And Tala Sararia. Thank you. And ladies, before you step down from the stage, together a nice picture for posterity, please. Together on stage. Thank you. Everybody, please, quickly. Right there, can we have a picture together? All of you right at the center. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. The representation of Swayam Shakti on stage, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you very, very much. Let's set up our next session. We've got lots of ground to cover, and I have to tell you, how many gentlemen here who are less than 40 years of age? How many gentlemen less than 40? If you're all occupying chairs and if you see ladies standing here, you know what you have to do. Right? Spot them who are less than 40 and you know what to do, ladies. Okay. It's not just Swayam Shakti. There are many aspects that we'd like to cover. We've got about multiple sessions, multiple achievers to showcase. We should also have the Honorable President of India in our midst in a short while from now. Union Minister Smriti Irani will be here. But right now, we're going to set up something which makes us all very, very proud. Ye jo tiranga hai na? When you see it scaling not just the skylines, but way into Antariksh, and when you know that there is Shri Shakti behind it, and you feel so much more proud. So while there's a lot more to be done at the grassroots and further empower and enable her, she has already done a lot to secure Bharat and ensure the enemy thinks twice before training its guns at us, because Bharat's arsenal is stocked with intercontinental ballistic missiles that will make many sweat. Not just think twice, never think about it actually. Our next Shri Shakti has helped the country take rapid strides in missile technology. She has played a pivotal role in the development of the Agni series of missiles, becoming the project director for Agni 4 and continues to inspire generations with her remarkable achievements and unwavering spirit. The Missile Woman of India, Dr. Tessie Thomas, and as she comes up, I'm going to request another pride of Network 18, Palki Sharma, to please come up along with Dr. Tessie Thomas and take this conversation forward. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. See all the ladies, I'm going to take pictures of all their saris, for posterity. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Tessie Thomas, very good to see you again. We met last week and I've been wondering what I should ask you on this platform. So let me start with the question that I should have asked you last week. What is it like to be called the Missile Woman of India?
I think I had 36 years working for this missile program. And someone like with appreciation has named this. I don't know where and when it got came into this thing, and since maybe the work, the type of work which has been carried out for the missile field, I was working for the Agni class, the long range guidance scheme, first of its kind in the world, we can say, which is very adaptive for all long range systems. So that is where the missile women would have come. That's the way I take it.
Wonderful. You were preparing for the IAS. You wanted to be a civil services officer. What made you change direction?
Actually, after completing my BTech, options are either IAS, IES. That's the way we looked, HAL. So I didn't even get time, because by the time the advertisement for this DRDO sponsored program, MTech program. 10 students will be selected all across the country. There was a written test. So I went for writing that. I got selected in that before my BTech results came. So I didn't have any option to go and take up anything else. And moreover, that time IITs were giving a scholarship of 1,000 rupees, and the present DIT or IIT, the Armament Institute, was offering 1,200. So always that age, we know only to rate that way. That's the way I took up that opportunity and went for this guided missile program as MTech course.
That's a very interesting reason to have chosen what you did. Was there any doubt in your mind or in your family? Because this is not, we say that the sky is the limit for women everywhere in the world. You've shown that even the sky is not the limit. But when you started off, did you think that this is the best move for you? And looking back, were there points in your journey where you thought that you may not have made the best choice? Was there a turning point?
I think I didn't have time to think about whether I made a best choice. The first 20 years, including the MTech program, we didn't look at the outside world. And once I came to DRDL laboratory at Hyderabad, it's like I was selected for the Agni program. We don't even talk to anyone on what we are actually working for. Almost 15 years, nobody knew where I am. Even my friends also, I have lost touch with many of my friends also, because the way the programs were streamlined, that we are not supposed to talk about where we were working. So that's the way. No regrets, because it's for the, we know the importance, national importance of this, and the responsibility what is being put to us. So keep working, that was the ultimate aim in our life.
Absolutely, and you've inspired so many women. When we talk about women empowerment and what needs to be done to get more women into the workforce and into leadership roles, we've been discussing STEM education. What is your message to girls who want to pursue science as a career?
Yeah, actually when I joined the organization, it was hardly less than 3%. Women, girls were joining. Today the trend has changed, 15 to 18% women work as scientists, and that's really encouraging. And today, because of the awareness that science, technology, engineering, mathematics are easy to learn, I feel now the younger generations, because I have a lot of interaction with the school children as well as college students, they feel really motivated to take up this. If ordinary person doing engineering like me can come and work on this scientific field, any present generation is with a lot of knowledge around. We had only the textbook knowledge, what we learned, but today the whole knowledge is around, and we need to only think, and the inner desire to do this work in this field. And science, STEM subjects are equally easy as any other subjects. That's what I feel. I know scientists from, my friend from ISRO also will vouch for that. I think if once you learn, it's, you only fear what you do not know, but once you learn, you know everything. That's the way the knowledge helps us in going ahead.
A big round of applause for that. You only fear what you do not know. Dr. Thomas, I'm sure leadership is difficult both for men and women, especially for women. And in a field where there are very few women colleagues and leaders, were there moments in your career where you felt dejected and then you thought, I will show it to them and I will do it? Do you have such stories?
Yeah, maybe when I was designated for Project Director Agni 4, like we had done Agni 1, Agni 2 and Agni 3. That was a different class of technology, where existing technologies with rocket motor casing, metallic ones were used. But world across had a different type of picture altogether. Then I was asked to see, like, Agni 3 with 50 ton, we are reaching only 3,000 kilometers. World across were claiming 3,500, and so with that type of weight launch mass. When I gone through the technology, we have to enter into composite rocket motor casing, composite technology, which was even the carbon fiber, the material, raw material needed for that was not available in the country. So this was the time I was given the task of developing a system of world class, where weight reduction also has to be there. And initially, the mandate was if we may change one of the stage of the rocket motor, we may be able to achieve. But the things were not that easy as it looked. That's where I was thinking, at one point of time, I was not sure the responsibility what was shouldered on me. I thought it's easy, but it was not so. So we had to go through the development of composite rocket motor technology, prove its capability, design, test it, and then take it as a rocket motor casing. And finally, when the efforts of after 4 years, we could achieve with 22 ton as the launch mass, launch capability up to 4,000. That is how Agni 4 came up.
Fantastic, fantastic story. Yeah. What is it that motivates you, Dr. Thomas?
It's like we work for technologies first of its kind, which is not available within the country, as far as we call it innovative, or all the technologies what we need. So it's like, it's the challenge what comes to us, or the opportunity given to us to do something new. Definitely, we had a lot of great visionaries like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. They all had a great vision of what our country should have as a defense capability, what our government tells us what we need to make systems. So these are the things, input which comes to us, and then we look for what is the world class or beyond, something totally innovative, which doesn't exist in anywhere in the world. So that's how the Agni class of guidance law, where I was the designer for this Agni class of systems, first of its kind in the world, we can say, and systems of world class has been made for Agni 4, and same technology was adapted for Agni 5. That's how it's the need of the nation, or the requirement for our countries, and the responsibility given to us, that makes us motivated as defense scientists.
How does your team align with you when you take up this project, which is a matter of pride, not just for you and your organization, but it's something that your entire country is looking at you for delivering on something like this. Is it the same as a woman to pull it off?
Actually, I was fortunate to have a very young team working for the Agni 4. In the project group, we were 5 project group, but all across the country, from different all the labs, DRDO labs, plus industry. So more than 1,000 people work as a scientist for one of the systems in the initial development. So that is like, if all of them are coming out to work, and all of them are inspired to work for the country, then that gives us all of us the guidance. It's a team. It's a leader. Leader is only one person who is just be there as a team leader, but it's the whole participation of all the scientists working towards realizing a project.
That's also something that is said of women leaders. They foster a collaborative working environment. We have women like you, women achievers in the field of science and technology. We've had some before, and yet this field remains dominated by men. What will it take to have more women enter this field and excel in it? What is your message to them?
Yeah, today itself the difference has already been seen. Like when I joined, as I mentioned, very few were there. Today, most of our senior women leaders, they are either a technology leader or a project director, and many have come up to take that, because they also need, few women show the path, they get guided towards, and I think it's easy as any other. If men can do, women also can do. There's nothing which is stopping us from doing that.
Absolutely.
Good.
As a leader, what have you done to build that pipeline for more women to sort of take up these roles and to lead projects like you have done?
So I see as a team leader, we need to first understand the real responsibility what we are into. Once the team members understand this is the importance, and I think they are all geared together to work together for this. And even if me as a team leader, sometimes when we go through a testing of a missile, once it is prepared, it takes more than 14 to 18 hours of test continuously. And maybe setup is made ready, it becomes afternoon. It goes way late into the late hours. But then my team members, they say, don't stop it, we will continue. We may end at 3 o'clock at the early morning, but all the team members, that the spirit of the whole team members, that we'll complete. Otherwise, there's no excuse for doing things of this national importance. I think all of them are so much motivated and inspired. And we all work for technologies which is unknown to us. So it's the avionics, the electronics part was going through a lot of changes, revolutions. Digital technologies like analog systems to digital computers came. So we had a lot of innovative, and learning for the first time was always there. So they were all spirited enough to learn and were together working. Scientists don't give up. So they continue working throughout. That's the way we do.
What does the missile woman of India do when she's not designing missiles or thinking of them?
Now, those tough days of my life, I get back, switch on the TV and watch the TV, drain out whatever was in my mind, see like who is wearing good saris. So that was the one thing which used to relieve me from all my tensions. Then I didn't have any complaint of cooking, so I used to cook my own food. That's the way I used to spend time. Little time in some badminton or something like that. That's the way I used to have life. My husband was from the Navy, so he was also posted somewhere outside. So, but whenever they were here with me, great support as family. So we were, my son also, very understanding. So that way, we all together made it, we can say.
Very inspiring story. Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas, for speaking to us and for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause to Dr. Tessie Thomas. And I'm going to request Palki to please present a token of our gratitude to Dr. Tessie Thomas, the Shakti plate. And that makes for a very nice picture. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Palki. Thank you so much, Dr. Tessie Thomas, for making the effort and coming back. Thank you, ma'am. Lovely to meet you. Thank you. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a very short break. I request all our guests to be seated where they are. We'll see you in just a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd request your cooperation. We need to do it as quickly as possible and as seamlessly as possible. We've got to do, because of the Honorable President's attendance, we've got a security drill. You have a dog squad and the advanced security team, which is already inside the auditorium. So they're going to request, I think, barring the center tables, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everybody else will have to clear the audience. So everybody who's standing there, please, you'll have to make your way out of Alamgir, out of the Darbar Hall, please. Except for the ASL team, everybody will have to make your way out. All of you, ma'am, all of you, sirs, please. And you have to go back out and then come back in. Please leave your things where they are. Please leave your things where they are. They just need the area to be cleared. And they're going to start with the security check of the stage. By then, let's try and please quickly clear in and then come back in at the earliest. Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience, but this is a necessity. Yeah, here at the center table you may be seated. Tables 11, 3, 10, 17 and 4 and 9. You please be seated. 11, 3, 10, 17, 4, 9 and 16. You can please be seated. Table 2 you'll have to clear, ma'am. Ma'am, if it's in